You mean Sherry? Let Sherry know.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Old habits die hard. Okay. Okay, so the live stream started and I've just opened up the webinar to the participants. So we'll just give them a moment to log in. It takes them a few minutes to come in. All right, we do have the attendees coming through and we do have 4 o'clock. So Madam Chair, whenever you're ready to start the meeting, I think we're good to go.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 4 o'clock and I'll start with the opening remarks. I'd like to welcome everyone to the virtual meeting for the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Central Frontenac. And I would first like to thank the members of the public, the committee members and the staff for making this meeting possible so that we can proceed with processing applications in a safe manner. Just so members of the public are aware, all members of the public are muted on our end and your cameras will not be turned on. For those of you who may be new to the Committee of Adjustment, my name is Sherry Wan and I am the chair of the committee. We also have Frances Smith joining us this evening. Hi, Fran. Victor Hees. Hello, Victor. Brent Cameron. Hi, Brent. Nikki Gowdy. Hi, Nikki. Do we have Cindy Kelsey joining us this evening?
No, she's not on the meeting today.
Okay. Philip Smith. Hi, Philip. And I think that's everyone. No, sorry, Bill. Hi, Bill.
Oh, that's all right.
Bill McDonald. Sorry, Bill. Cindy Diekman, our deputy clerk, will be assisting us as the meeting host, and we are also joined by the planning staff. Only the Committee of Adjustments video will be on. The format of this meeting will follow the agenda, which is posted online and can be found on the township website. Staff have also prepared a presentation for everyone to follow along with during the meeting, and this will be shown on the screen. If you have joined us via phone, we encourage you to open up the presentation in the agenda and follow along. For each application with a public hearing, we will follow this format. I, as the chair, will introduce the file so that everyone knows where we are in the agenda, and the planner will then provide an overview of the application. We will then ask if there are any comments from the applicant or their agent. Committee members will then ask staff or the applicant or their agent any questions if there are any. The public will then have an opportunity to ask questions, and I encourage you to ask any questions that you feel comfortable with in the new process. The committee will then deliberate and vote on each application, and the voting will take place with the members of committee raising their hands, and I will then state whether or not the vote was carried. If there are any previously deferred items, they will be first on the agenda, and as the public meeting has already been held for those, we will then ask the applicants themselves if they have any questions. All members of the public will have an opportunity to provide comments on the new applications. And if a public body does not make an oral submission at the time of the meeting or make a written submission to the Township of Frontenac before the decision is made, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. Township staff will be in touch following the meeting and will be forwarding a copy of the decision within 15 days to the applicant and anyone who has requested to be notified. Should you have any questions after the meeting, we encourage you to reach out to staff, the applicant, the minister, or any other person or public body who has an interest in the matter may, within 20 days of making a decision or the date of notice appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal against the decision of the committee by filing with the Secretary Treasurer and then the committee a notice of appeal. I will now ask Cindy to provide an overview of how the members of the public can participate in the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When the meeting is open to the public, the chair will ask the member of the public if they have any questions or comments. Members of the public will be asked to use the raise hand feature, and that is, I don't know if you can see the slides up on the screen, but the raise hand feature is down at the bottom of the screen. So when you click that, it alerts the chair that you would like to speak. Staff will notify the chair that someone wishes to speak, and then we'll proceed to unmute your microphone. As a member of public, you will receive a notification that your microphone has been unmuted. Please wait a second after unmuting before speaking. If you are calling in by phone, please dial the *9 on the phone, and that gives us the raise hand feature as well, and that notifies us that you would like to comment during the on the application. You will hear a prompt on the phone that you have raised your hand, and then you will be notified when your microphone has been unmuted. This afternoon, it looks like we have 14 members of the public participating with us on the meeting. More may join us as we go through. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Cindy. In the unlikely account that a committee member disconnects from the meeting will proceed if the quorum is met and the committee member will attempt to reconnect. Should all members of the committee disconnect, the meeting will then be postponed and all members will be asked to try to reconnect. If the meeting cannot be restored within 15 minutes, the meeting will be postponed and the staff will be in touch with each applicant. A notice will then be posted on the township social media, letting you know. Thank you for your impatience as we all embark on this virtual meeting. So I have our first motion, which is a motion to approve the agenda. And the motion is moved by Fran and seconded by Nikki. And from what I understand, there is an amendment, which I'll have Crystal speak to.
Application A2321 for Smith Swedini has been withdrawn, but we just wanted people to be aware of it because there could be people from the public that wanted to speak on it, but they have removed it.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. So I have a motion moved by Fran and seconded by Nikki that the agenda be adopted as amended. All in favor? Thank you. Motion is carried. Okay. Do we have any members of the committee that have any pecuniary interest in any of the applications this evening? Okay, seeing none. I have a motion moved by Fran and seconded by Brent that the minutes of the November 11th, 2021 meeting be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And I'll go ahead and start with our first application, which is B1221 HI Kennedy, and it is the creation of a new lot. I'll have Crystal introduce the application, and then one of our planners will be speaking to the application.
So I think they're backwards on the agenda. So it's B11 and B12, which are both Kennedy for creation of 2 new lots. They're in the former Hinchinbrook Township, and they're on Highway 38 just south of Parham, and Dimitri's now going to speak on it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Crystal. Just for the benefit of all the members of the public in attendance today, my name is Dimitri. I'm one of the planners here at the County of Frontenac. So consent application B1121 and consent application B1221 propose to create 2 new rural residential lots together with a shared driveway on a lot located at Part Lot 16, Concession 2 in the geographic township of Hinchinbrook. Pardon me, I need to share my screen here. Here we are. Okay, sorry about that. So this application was deferred by the Committee of Adjustment on June 10th of this year in accordance with comments provided by the Quinte Conservation Authority. At that time, QCA staff required the applicant to demonstrate that they have an adequate development envelope on both the proposed lots and the retained lot. To do this, QCA required the applicant to identify the location of the building envelope outside of any required wetlands and water body setback. So following several iterations of the site plan, both the applicant and county staff have worked out a solution that ensured that the 2 lots to be created meet the policies and provisions of the township official plan and the zoning bylaw. So one additional aspect to this application that was not heard at the previous meeting is the proposal of a formal right-of-way across or formal right-of-way easement across the KMP trail from Ball Road, which will provide access to the east portion of the retained lands. So the current application proposes 2 new lots with frontage on Road 98. The lot proposed by application B1121 will be for a lot that is 1.81 hectares in area or 4.47 acres with approximately 175 meters or 575 feet of frontage along Road 38. Application B1221 will be for a lot that is 1 hectare or 2.47 acres in area with approximately 65 meters or 214 feet of frontage along Road 38. Both of these lots are proposed to be accessed by a shared driveway due to the presence of a guide rail and a fairly significant slope that separates the application B11 from Road 38. The lot that's proposed to be retained will be 69.23 hectares or 171.7 acres in area, with approximately 270 meters or 885 feet of frontage along Road 38. In addition to that, the east part of the retained parcels is also proposed to be accessed by a right-of-way easement across the KNP trail from Ball Road. The entire property is designated and zoned as rural in the township official plan, as well as the township zoning bylaw. So the application was circulated and recirculated to the township of South Frontenac and the Quinte Conservation Authority several times throughout the process. Ultimately, the Township of South Frontenac staff determined that both the proposed lots presented today are able to support a septic system. Quinte Conservation Authority determined that the two lots were capable of supporting a development envelope that's sufficiently separated from nearby wetlands. County staff that deal with the administration and development of the KNP Trail also determined that the proposed former access from Ball Road across the KNP Trail were supportable, subject to County Council approval. The proposed right-of-way easement will formalize an existing access that's currently used by the applicant. The access will allow for a development envelope to be established on the east portion of the lot should the applicant choose to develop it. But at this point, it should be noted that the east portion of the property is used for agricultural purposes. So just to kind of give you a quick visualization of the application, application B11 is proposed to be located in the southwest corner. Application B12 is in between an existing lot of record and application B11. And the proposed former access easement is going to be located just off of Ball Road, right over here. And then it's going to go down to down the KNP Trail to a gate that already exists on the retained lot. So overall, planning staff are of the opinion that the application conforms to the provincial policy statement, the township and county official plan, and the township zoning bylaw. So as such, staff are recommending that the Committee of Adjustment hears comments from the public and approve this application as submitted, subject to the conditions outlined in the report.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Do we have the applicant joining us on the line tonight with any questions or comments? Cindy?
The applicant wishes to speak on this. Can they use the raise hand feature and I can move you over? No, I do not see any raised hands.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment on the application?
If there's anyone wishing to speak, please use the raise hand feature or *9 up if you're on the, I don't think there's anyone on the phone. I see none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any members of the committee that have any questions or comments regarding the application? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and read the motion. I have a motion moved by Fran and seconded by Brent that consent application B1121 HI Kennedy for the property located at Part Lot 16, Concession 2 in the geographic township of Hinchinbrook for a 1.81 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, subject to the following conditions noted in the planning report, and that the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of the decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed and the certificate of official issued within a period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was issued as required by the Planning Act. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And Dimitri has spoke to the second application. Oh, my apologies. That motion was seconded by Bill. I have a motion moved by Nikki and seconded by Bill that consent application B1221 HI Kennedy for the property located at Part Lot 16, Concession 2 in the geographic township of Hinchinbrook for a 1 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, and the conditions are the same as the previous application. All of those in favor? Motion is carried. And the applicant will be sent a a copy of all of the conditions. Sorry, Fran, did you have a question? Okay. Not hearing, can't hear you, Fran, but thank you. Okay, moving on to our next application, which is the 5321 KE Madanesek, creation of a new lot, as well as the 5421 KE Madisnek, creation of a new lot. And I apologize for not being able to pronounce that. Crystal will go ahead and introduce the application, and then our planner will speak to it.
So it's creation of 2 new lots, former Kennebec Township. They're off the Price Road, and the Hughes Road is the corner of the one. And Jenny's going to speak on that one.
Thank you. As you may recall, these applications came to the committee previously, but were deferred pending comments from the Conservation Authority and the health unit, or not health unit, sorry, Township of South Frontenac, for septic suitability. Since that meeting, the septic has been evaluated, and Quinte Conservation has had an opportunity to conduct a site visit to evaluate the proposal. These lots are 2 lots to be created. 1.8 hectares, 1.95 hectares in area, with the retained at about 2.1 hectares. The intention was to have them as even as possible, given the layout of the property and the information and the existing structures on the property. The property is zoned and designated rural, as well as some residential waterfront areas, just because they don't front on Big Clear Lake, but as we can see on this next one, they're essentially waterfront properties, albeit except for Price Road, which is considered a forced trespass road that the township has since assumed. So Quinte Conservation said they have no objections to the severance as proposed for either of the applications. They did conduct a site visit at the end of September this year. They did note on the retained lands, there's a small water course in the very easternmost corner, but that does not affect these proposed severances. Septic approval from South Frontenac indicated that both lots were flexible with regards to siting a septic system and didn't have any concerns or site-specific requirements for either of these lots. Township Public Works went out to evaluate the entrances. There is some topography along Price Road along the frontage of both proposed severed lots that may make it somewhat challenging to gain access. Most likely the entrance for severance or the second lot, so B54, will be where my arrow is here, in the vicinity of the existing dry boathouse that will be located on this severed lot, so fairly close to the existing cottage and the access there. There's potentially an opportunity for an entrance to the severed lot that fronts also on Hughes Road, off Price Road, but it is entirely likely that they will be required to gain access from Hughes Road just for safety, sightlines, things like that. Just trying to get in off Price Road may be challenging, but applicants can explore that opportunity if that's something that works better for them. Based on comments received and technical circulation, recommendation is that the committee hears any comments from the public today and approves both these applications as submitted.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Do we have the applicant or an agent acting on behalf of the applicant joining us this evening with any questions or comments?
If the applicant is on and wishes to speak, please use the raise hand feature. Just a moment, I have Cheryl Mastinek coming in. Okay, if you can unmute.
Hi. My question is for the entrance for the end lot. So they're saying that we have to take it off of Hughes Road, or that's just that's a probability?
Sorry, just a moment, Mrs. Mastinek. Crystal's going to speak to that for you.
Thank you.
Public Works looked at the locations. Price Road may not have a suitable spot for an entrance. It would have to be marked out where you might want it and see if you can, but
Okay.
Hughes Road is always a choice.
Okay, great. That's all. That's my only question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from any of the members on the committee regarding the application? Bill?
Yes, to you, Madam Chair, to Jenny or whatever. In looking at the map there, there's a section of that property that's actually south or east or on the other side of Price Road. I assume that piece of property is attached to the first lot next to Hughes Road. Is that piece of property going to present us with a problem in the future? Because that would actually be a separate piece of property with a natural severance of the road itself. Is it big enough to do anything with, or would it be a good idea to have it donated to the township for road expansion?
That is an excellent question. Road widening is included as a recommended condition. So it's likely that part of that may be included as part of the road widening. My understanding is that as it is right now, that you could not sell that piece independently of the large parcel on the north side, that they are currently tied together legally. And the recommendation is that that is continued forward with that piece on the south side opposite the severance for B53 be included with that lot area and have the similar requirements legally tying them together on the deed that they cannot be sold separately.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any other member of the committee? Do we have any members from the public joining us this evening with any questions or comments on the application?
I would ask if there is anyone wishing to speak to use the raise hand feature at this time. I see none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and call the question. I have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Fran that consent application B5321 KE Frontenac for the property located at Part Lot 17, Concession 10 in the geographic township of Kennebec for a 1.8 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, subject to the conditions noted in the planning report. And that the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of the decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body as prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed and the certificate of official issued within a period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was issued as required by the Planning Act. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. I have a motion for the second application that is moved by Philip and seconded by Victor, that consent application B5421 KE Frontenac for the property located at Part Lot 17, Concession 10 in the geographic township of Kennebec for a 1.95 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, subject to the same conditions as the previous report. And the applicant will be sent a copy of all of those conditions. All of those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, our next application is a consent application for two applications, and it's Cabronero, and it's B5821 KE and B5921 KE. And Crystal will speak to it, introduce the application, and one of our planners will speak to it.
So both of these again are to create 2 new lots. They're in the former Kennebec Township off the Arden Road, and Sonia will speak on this one.
Thank you, Crystal. Madam Chair, good evening, everyone. Yes, this is another pair of applications that was actually deferred from the committee's meeting in October due to a request from the Conservation Authority. They requested additional time in order to be able to do a site visit of the property. So that has been conducted. I'll speak to their recommendations and findings in a minute, but just as a brief summary, this is a proposal for 2 new lots. Both would be approximately 6.8 hectares or 16.8 acres in size, one with approximately 100 meters or 328 feet of frontage along Arden Road, the other with approximately 104 meters or 341 feet along the same road. The retained parcel itself would be approximately 11.9 hectares or 29.4 acres in size, with approximately 638 meters or 2,093 feet along Arden Road. The entire subject property is designated in the official plan as rural area and is zoned rural in the zoning bylaw. The entire property contains natural vegetation as well as a number of unevaluated wetlands. There is an existing dwelling on the property that will be part of the retained parcel. In terms of the comments that have been received, so Quinte Conservation Authority did get a chance to visit the site, and based on the comments that they sent to us on November 10th, they have no objections to the applications. They did indicate that the owners of all future properties will need a permit from them in order for it to have any development or site alteration due to some of the constraints with respect to the existing unevaluated wetlands. We also had comments from the septic inspection team at the Township of South Frontenac. They also have no objections to the proposed severance. I think there was some confusion in terms of the numbering of the lots and which lot was number 1 and number 2, but they said both lots have flexibility in terms of where a septic system can be located. They did note that the central lot, which would be lot number 2 here, that the siting of the septic system will be restricted to the eastern portion of the lot because of the presence of wetter soils on the property and the unevaluated wetlands. So this lot will be restricted to sort of this area adjacent to the road for their septic system, but there is sufficient room for both the septic system and a building envelope for a future residential dwelling. And to date, we have not received any comments from the public with respect to these applications. So the staff recommendation is that that the committee go ahead and approve both of the applications for consent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonia. Cindy, do we have the owner or the applicant or the applicant's agent on the line with any questions or comments?
If the applicant does have any questions or wishes to speak, you can use the raise hand feature now. Just a moment, please. I'll move you over. So I'm bringing over Olivia Cambronero. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, guys. I don't think I have any questions at this time. I'd just like to thank you guys for your time today, and a special thanks to Crystal. She's been a big help to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments from any member of the committee regarding the application? Okay, seeing none. Do we have any questions or comments from any member of the public regarding the application?
And if there is anyone wishing to speak on this, please use the raise hand feature or *9 on your phone. I see no one, Madam Chair.
Okay, I have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Fran, the consent application B5821 KE Cabranero for the property located at Part Lot 10, Concession 8 in the geographic township of Kennebec for a 6.81 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, subject to the following conditions as noted in the planning report. That the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including and providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that has made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed, and that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed, and that the certificate of official issued within a period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was issued as required by the Planning Act. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And the second application, consent application, is moved by Brent and seconded by Victor, that consent application B5921 KE Cabranero for the property located at Part Lot 10, Concession 8 in the geographic township of Kennebec for a 6.62 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, and it is subject to the same conditions as the previous application, and the applicant will receive a copy of all of those conditions. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. In our next application, we have 2 new applications, B6421 HI Radachek and B6521 HI Radachek for the creation of new lots. I'll have Crystal introduce the application and one of the planning staff will speak to it.
So again, these are for the creation of 2 new lots. They're in the former Hinchinbrook Township. They're off the 40-foot road and they're together with the right of way, and Dimitri's going to speak on them.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Crystal. Consent application B6421 and B6521 propose to create 2 new waterfront residential lots together with a new private right of way or a new private road from an existing 75 hectare or 185 acre lot located at part lot 6 concession 1 that has frontage on 40-foot road in the geographic township of Hinchinbrook. This application was also deferred at the last committee of adjustment meeting so that staff could obtain more information regarding how the private lane should be treated from a planning and from a legal perspective. So as discussed in the previous meeting, the county official plan and the private lane policies of the township official plan require for all new private lanes to be constructed to private lane standards and be governed as a common element condominium for the benefit of the lots that are proposed to be created. So after some consideration, planning staff have concluded that in this scenario specifically, the intent of the private lane policies can be met if the road is registered as a right-of-way easement rather than as a common element condominium, and if the road is constructed to the private lanes standards. It should also be noted that if any more lots are proposed to be created on this property that will be accessed by the private lane, the applicant would then be required to apply for a plan of subdivision or a plan of condominium in accordance with the township official plan. So at that point, if that ever happens, planning staff will consider the application of or how the private lane policies will be applied and determine if the road needs to be registered as a common element condominium or not. So just to provide you with a quick recap of the application in front of you, the 2 lots will be approximately 4.85 hectares or 12 acres in area with approximately 219 meters or 718 feet of frontage on an existing unnamed artificial lake. To facilitate access to the 2 lots, the applicants will be required to construct a new private lane. At this time, both of the proposed lots are vacant with residential development anticipated. The retained lot will be approximately 65.45 hectares or 161 acres in area with approximately 257 meters or 843 feet of frontage along 40-foot road and a combined water frontage of approximately 1 kilometer or so. The retained parcel contains an existing agricultural building that's currently used for storage and as a workshop. Both the proposed severed and retained lands are designated and zoned as rural in the township official plan and the township zoning bylaw. So the application was circulated to the Township of South Frontenac and the Quinte Conservation Authority. Sewage system review at the Township of South Frontenac had no objections to the applications. They did indicate that some importation of granular soil will or may be required. However, that will be dealt with at the building permit stage. The Quinte Conservation Authority also did not object to the application. They noted the presence of water bodies, wetlands, and watercourses, none of which have been deemed to be provincially significant. Ultimately, the Conservation Authority determined that the 2 proposed lots contain enough area to support development that's going to be sufficiently separated from natural heritage features as well as natural hazards. As a condition of this severance application, planning staff recommend that the proposed severed lots, or at least the area that encompasses the proposed severed lots, be rezoned from rural to a waterfront residential. There are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, the rural zone does not permit the creation of new lots with frontage and access by a right of way, whereas the waterfront residential zone does. And number 2, both of these lots are going to be waterfront lots. Therefore, the uses that should be permitted on those lots should reflect those that are permitted in the waterfront residential zone. So overall, planning staff are of the opinion that the subject property and the applications conform to the provincial policy statement, the township and county official plan, and the township zoning bylaw. As such, staff are recommending that the Committee of Adjustment approve this application as submitted, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Do we have the applicant or an agent acting on behalf of the applicant with any comments or questions on the application?
If so, I do have Stephen Davidson. I'm going to move over. Okay, go ahead.
Hi there. Yep, Stephen Davidson here. The applicant Julie Lee is also with me, and I think Rada's on the line as well. We're just here if there are any questions. Appreciate everyone's help in putting this together.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments or questions for any member of the committee on this application? Bill? And then
Yes.
Fran and then Victor.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Dimitri, if there's going to be a rezoning requirement on these properties once the lots are created, would that be something that we would be able to reevaluate when we introduce our new zoning bylaw?
Thank you for the question, and through the chair, the rezoning requirement is a condition of the severance, so the severance can't be completed until those lands are rezoned. Because the zoning bylaw amendment, the township-wide zoning bylaw amendment is still in the pipeline and it's not quite ready yet, I wouldn't recommend waiting for that to take place in order for these severances to be finalized. At this point, as proposed, because they are both of those lots are going to be accessed from the private right-of-way, some form of rezoning needs to take place in order for this to be permitted. If the rezoning does not take place, we simply can't, it simply won't be in line with the intent of the zoning bylaw.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fran, you had a question?
Yes, my question is to whoever can answer it. What is the definition of an artificial lake?
So thank you. I think I could touch upon this question. So this lake, the reason why I identified it as an artificial lake is because this lake appears to have been created as a result of the removal of a railway and a damming that occurred. So this was an area that at one point, I believe, was flooded because of the result of the dam. So the lake didn't occur naturally. It was created as a result of a dam being installed. And typically this lake is, although it's quite large, it's smaller than some of the more naturally occurring lakes that we see in the township.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Victor?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to Dimitri. Thank you for clearing up the issue about whether this is going to, the road is a communal condominium element or a road allowance, or not a road allowance, a right of way. In the conditions, you have the condition that the road must be constructed, but this is going to be a road, a right of way easement. Should that not also be one of the conditions that the right of way be put on title, or am I getting ahead of myself? Would that be a step at or something that's done at a later time?
No, that is something that was through the chair. Thank you for the question. That is something that needs to occur once the lots are created in terms of the right of way being added to the title of the two lots. I don't have the report in front of me, but I think I was under the impression that I did include that condition in the report. If I did not, I apologize, and that should be included. But yes, the road needs to be constructed prior to the severance being completed, and the right of way needs to be registered in benefit of the two lots.
Yes, Victor, go ahead.
Could I, yeah, if it pleases the chair, I'd like to read the condition for Dimitri. He says he doesn't have it in front of him. And then just by reading it, if whether or not he thinks it's strong enough, because I'm not seeing that it's supposed to be registered on title. So the condition is, prior to the signing of the certificate official for the creation of a new waterfront lot to be created through consent application B6421, that the private road providing access to the subject property be constructed in accordance with the Frontenac County Private Roads Lane Study to the satisfaction of the Township of Central Frontenac. At no point shall the Township of Central Frontenac assume the private road. So I'm not seeing anything in here about a legal right-of-way being put on title.
Dimitri, would you like to comment?
Yeah, through the chair. Thank you for pointing this out. It does look like there needs to be a condition in condition. It would be condition 9. It's not. It should be under the survey reference plan or registerable description subheading. It does not exist. You are correct. So I think it would be in the best interest of the committee to add that condition as part of this application, should you choose to approve these applications.
Okay, thank you.
So we would do it as an amendment to this motion?
Through the chair, I think Cindy Diekman is the best person to answer that question.
Okay, I agree.
Madam Chair, might I suggest that we pull the appropriate wording for that? It might take me a few minutes to do that. Can we just table this application until the end and come back to it and then revisit the motion with the amended condition? I just need a little bit of time to get the right wording.
For sure, if everybody in the committee is in agreement to that. Thank you very much for doing it, Cindy. And yes, we can do that.
Good catch, Victor.
Yes, very good catch. Okay, so we'll just set that aside for now, and we'll come back to that later. So moving on to applications for consent. We now have items B 6621 OL Ducharme, and it's the creation of a new lot. And I'll have Crystal introduce the application, and one of our planning staff will speak to the application.
So as Sherry said, it's B 6621 Olden Ducharmes. It's for the creation of a new lot. It's in the former Olden Township, and it's on the Ducharme Road, and Dimitri's going to speak on it.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you, Crystal. Consent application B 6621 OL proposes to create a new lot from a property located at part lot 2 and 3, concession 10 in the geographic township of Olden. The property subject to the severance is a 53.32 hectare or 129 acre parcel that's located on the south side of Ducharme Road, approximately 250 meters north of Eagle Lake. The lot proposed to be created will be located on the east side of the property and will be approximately 17.4 hectares or 42 acres in area, with a total frontage of approximately 61 meters or 200 feet along Ducharme Road. It should be noted that the frontage is split in two sections. So the west side of the property has about 56 meters of frontage along Ducharme Road, and then there's a small portion on the east side of the property where there's approximately about 5.5 meters on the east side of the lot. Both the subject lands, all the retained and the proposed lands, are proposed to be severed, and they are both vacant right now with residential development anticipated. Yeah, so I'll just move on to the next slide here. The application was circulated to the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, as well as the Township of South Frontenac Building Services. RVCA noted that the property is located within a highly vulnerable aquifer, much like most properties in the township. They've recommended a number of best practices for development on these lands. These best practices have been included in the planning report, but do not form any conditions. RVCA staff also noted that the lot to be severed appears to contain a wetland on the southeast corner, but overall determined that the proposed lot contains sufficient area for development outside of any natural heritage features and natural hazards. RVCA staff also noted that the retained lands contain a water body, several water courses, and possibly some wetlands. Again, RVCA determined that the retained parcel contains sufficient area for development outside of any natural heritage features and natural hazards. Township of South Frontenac staff determined that the severed lot is able to support a standard class 4 septic system. We did not receive any comments from any members of the public. I do notice that my slide does say that the County of Frontenac commented on the application. That's just a copy and paste there, so I apologize for that. The one thing that should be noted on this application is that the PIN, the property identification number that describes Ducharme Road, is only approximately 12 meters in width or 40 feet wide, which is smaller than the current standard for township owned and maintained roads. As such, planning staff are recommending that a road widening condition is included in this application. Planning staff recommend that a minimum of 10 meters or 33 feet is dedicated to the township along the entire frontage of the proposed lot for the purpose of establishing a road allowance. That 10 meters or 33 feet of width should be measured from the center line of the traveled portion of Ducharme Road, going south towards the lot proposed to be created. Overall, planning staff are of the opinion that the subject property conforms to the provincial policy statement, the township official plan, and the township zoning bylaw. As such, staff are recommending that the Committee of Adjustment hear comments from the public and approve this application as submitted, subject to the conditions outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitri. Do we have the applicant or an agent acting on behalf of the applicant with any questions or comments on the application this evening?
I'll ask if there is anyone on behalf of the applicant to use the raise hand feature. I see no one, Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have any members of the committee that have any questions or comments on the application? Okay, seeing none, do we have any members of the public that have any questions or comments on the application?
If there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand feature. I see no one, Madam Chair.
Okay, I have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Brent that consent application B6621OL Ducharme for the property located at Part Lot 2, Concession 10 in the geographic township of Olden for a 17.4 hectare parcel as a new lot be approved, subject to the conditions noted in the Planning Act. And that the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that has made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed, and that the certificate of the official issued within a period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was made and issued as required by the Planning Act. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Okay, our next application is application for consent is application B6721OL Porticos, a creation of a new lot. And I'll have Crystal introduce the application and one of our planning staff will speak to the application.
So we're gonna do B6721 Olden Porticos and B6821 Olden Porticos. It's for the creation of 2 new lots. The one lot will be together with the right of way. It's a former Olden Township on the North Road, and Jenny's going to speak on.
Thank you. Yes. This is 2 applications. I'm going to discuss them kind of at the same time and have different recommendations for them as different comments were received with regards to each application. So there's, as it noted, is for the creation of 2 new lots together with a right of way. Severed parcel 1, or B67, is going to be approximately 4.9 hectares or just over 12 acres in area. The property is designated and zoned rural, and there's no recommendations for any change to that. The severed parcel 2, B68, will be approximately 1.95 hectares or just under 5 acres in area. Again, same thing, rural area and rural zoning with no recommended change. This is the one that will have access, will also be together with a right-of-way for access to portions of the retained lands, and it also has a large pond on it. There'll be further discussion on that shortly. The retained lands will be, they will not be 2.1 hectares. They're about 100 acres. Sorry, that would be a big typo on that. So the retained lands are significantly larger than what I have typed in here. And contain existing development and on-site services. The retained parcel is zoned rural, environmental protection, and limited service rural. The environmental protection and limited service rural areas of the property are along the northern boundary of the subject property and encompass areas that are also mapped as wetlands. First, I will discuss B67. So this is the creation of a lot, and along the northern edge of this property, the northern boundary of the severed lot will be the wetlands that I noted previously, where that is where the EP designation or EP zoning is located. There is none of that within this lot. This entire proposed lot will be zoned rural. This lot will continue to gain access from North Road, essentially in the same way it does right now. Currently, the driveway does veer off slightly onto the township-owned road allowance. The applicant has indicated they're willing to reconfigure that so it does run up along the side rather than on the road allowance, as per the direction from the township staff with regards to council's amenity to have license agreements for access in these types of situations when it is potentially possible to gain access directly on the subject property. It is just something that is a more preferred option, and in this case there is an option to do that. There is an existing dwelling and services on the property. However, the plan is to build a new full-time or year-round home, and as such this lot was evaluated for septic suitability as well. Comments came in November 26, indicating no objections to this, and that the lot is flexible with regards to siting a septic system. As you can see, there's sufficient area on there for the services as well as for the proposed residential redevelopment of this property. The comments received from the Conservation Authority did not indicate any objections with regards to the creation of this lot. They visited the site on the 22nd of September to evaluate both this proposal and the next one. Planning staff's recommendation is that the creation of this lot meets all of the intent of the township and county policies, and would recommend approval of this lot, subject to any comments received from the public. Going to move on to the second one, also coming from the same subject property. This lot will be recommended for deferral, and this is as a result of comments received from the Conservation Authority. They, as I noted, did conduct a site visit on the 22nd of September to evaluate both of these proposed lots. They had some concerns with regards to the ability to meet the required setbacks to the water body in addition to the other zoning provisions. The indicated development area is approximately this area on the property in the corner. The right-of-way that is proposed along with this will be over the existing driveway. The reason for this right-of-way is kind of twofold. The creation of this lot essentially divides the retained parcel from where their access from North Road comes currently. So the first part of the right-of-way will be along the existing driveway and will be used to access the existing development, the house and accessory structures further onto the retained parcel. The second part of this right-of-way is going to come down here and follow the same access that will be used to access the development area on the property. And this is because this pond that leads off in a creek in both directions, known as Crooked Creek, actually continues along the entire length of the subject property, limiting the opportunity for the retained parcel to actually gain access to the southern part of the lot without using the existing bridge crossing here. The Conservation Authority is in favor more of upgrading and reinforcing the existing bridge rather than having a subsequent crossing further down with additional bridging over. One of the requirements of the Conservation Authority for this bridge, especially to become part of the right-of-way as well as to facilitate access to the development area on this lot, is that the bridge needs to be constructed and engineered and signed off by an engineer that it is suitably sized to both hold emergency services vehicles, including full-size fire trucks, as well as be suitably constructed and sized to handle the maximum flow of Crooked Creek during the high water periods in the springtime. Additionally, Conservation has requested that a survey sketch be submitted that demonstrates a suitable building envelope that meets both the water body setback and all other zoning provisions in advance of any decision being made with regards to this application. The application was also evaluated for septic suitability. South Frontenac did not have objections to the creation of this lot with regards to septic suitability. They noted that while the site is flexible with regards to siting the system, it was strongly suggested that the area where the test holes were dug for evaluation is reserved for the septic system due to the soil conditions. They're sandy and ideal for septic system installation. And it was also with regards to concerns regarding the water body setback. On this next slide, to give an idea, it does seem like there's not a lot of space on this property. This is a sketch that was submitted by the applicants as a preliminary demonstration to show the spacing on the property. As you can see, there is space to locate both a house and septic that are greater than 30 meters from the edge of the mapped stream area, as well as meeting all of the required rear and side yard setbacks of the zoning provisions. Based on the comments received, planning staff are recommending deferral of this application until such time that the survey sketch has been completed to ensure that the measurements shown on the submitted sketch are accurate and feasible with regards to locating both the house and the septic system outside any setback requirements that may require additional planning approval, such as minor variance.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Cindy, do we have the applicant or an agent acting on behalf of the applicant with any comments or questions on either of the applications?
I would ask if the applicant or agent is on. Just a moment, please. I'll move you over. I'm moving Kyle Corticas over. Mr. Corticas, are you able to unmute? You just muted again. Can you try the unmute again? There we go. Go ahead.
Okay, you can, yeah. Hi, hello?
Hi, Mr. Corticas. We can hear you now.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Yeah, I have a few questions. Well, yeah, they're going to change the acreage of the remaining parcel. Should be about 211 acres, I think. And when, what I was wondering, this referral, because I'm getting somebody working on it right now. I have a bridge designed already by an engineer, and we were ready to proceed with that, but we'll wait till everything else. I sent all the drawings on to Crystal Nadeau, so
Yes.
she has them now. Okay, and I'm just waiting for a surveyor to give us a sketch, basically. We've already put in some stakes at the 30 meters from the high water marks, from what the Quincy Conservation Area marked. So once I have the sketch, which shouldn't take too long, when will the next meeting be?
It will be in February.
February. Yes, we've sold our property, like the other remaining package. And one of the conditions were that we get these two lots severed off before the date, I guess, before it's sold, which is the end of April. So I'm not sure if that allows enough time.
I'm not sure, Jenny, would you like to comment at all, or?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I can address that. Realistically, if you're able to have the survey sketch in and have this item return to the next meeting in February, there would be a 20-day appeal period after that, which would take you to the end of February, depending on when in April your sale date is and when your surveyor can come out and how fast the remaining conditions can be met. Realistically, once it's approved by the committee, the speed of which the lots are created and finalized would be up to you. So if you're able to have everything all lined up and arranged in advance, it's entirely possible. I've seen it done in probably 2 weeks, is I would say the shortest time after a meeting. But it'll depend, I think, on who you have able to come and get everything done, especially with regards to the bridge design and construction, because that would have to be in place as well. Whether that can be done in the winter, I do not know.
Thanks, Jenny.
Right.
Do you have any further
Okay,
questions
so
or comments, Mr. Corticas?
No, I think we got till the end of April, so that should allow us enough time. But yeah, we were ready to start construction on the bridge, but we don't really want to do anything right now.
Yes, understandably.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
so,
thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Corticas from any members of the committee on the application? Sorry, Victor and then Fran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is not a question for Mr. Corticas. It's a question for Jenny.
Sure.
So through you, Madam Chair, the right-of-way on that piece of property, I can understand the one that runs along the northern border, which allows access to the retained piece, but I don't understand the piece that goes down to the south and it's going to curl around the lake to the construction site. I don't know why that needs to be a right-of-way. Would that not just be just a regular private lane? the owners of the retained property, once they sell that, then they don't have the right to access that anymore anyway. So why is there that second portion of the right of way?
That is an excellent question, and I'm just going to bring up an additional map that will better highlight that. I realized I did not put in the extra map that would show the reason for why we have that access over the bridge. Switch
I
screen.
can explain the reasoning for the access over the bridge is to allow the retained property still be able to access that side of the creek.
So once you see here, I believe the map should be up on the screen. So this is the lot being created. This is the existing bridge access that goes over the creek and facilitates access to the retained parcel. Sorry, my map is very slow today. 1 second. So this is the retained parcel. It is a really quite a large parcel, but this is essentially the only realistic and conservation approved crossing. They did not want to see any further crossings along here. And then it does widen out into a wetland pond area. So without a right of way over that bridge, the retained parcel would not have access to a large portion of the property.
Thank you. That makes perfect sense to me. In one of the drawings, it looked like the right of way was heading over towards the new construction site, and I didn't see any reason for that. But now that you point this out, yeah, of course, it makes sense that that's how they're going to access the southern portion of the retained lot. Thank you. That explains everything.
Thanks, Victor.
Yes, and the driveway for the development area and the right of way will be shared right up until the point where one goes one way and one goes to the other way. So they won't have access to the new house, no.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Victor. Fran, you had a question?
Yes, my question is for Jenny as well, and that is, the first slide does not show any road frontage or water frontage. Don't we have to have frontage on something to create a lot?
Also, another excellent question. Generally, the intention of the bylaw is to have frontage on a property, like you said, either road or water frontage, yes. In this instance, the subject property does not currently have frontage on a road, and there are policies where a road ends at a property that you do not have to have the frontage along it because the road dead ends into it. If the road was to continue along, then yes, they would have to have frontage on that. But there are options. Otherwise, you end up with lots that have a road that traverse along the end of it that don't actually lead anywhere. So there are provisions that allow where the road dead ends, like North Road does here at that road allowance, that there isn't the same requirement for the road frontage.
All right, there is access then. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's why the right of way is going to be created, to make sure that that access is maintained.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the committee have any questions or comments on either of the applications? Okay, do we have any members of the public wishing to comment on the application?
If there's anyone who wishes to speak, please use the raise hand feature or *9. No, I don't see anyone.
Oh, yes, Fran?
Just one more comment for the applicant, and that is that the committee is looking at approving the one lot tonight, so it would only be the second lot that will be deferred. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So we've got half the deal done.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read the good news first then. I have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Fran that consent application B6721OL Porticos for the property located at Part Lot 2, Concession 10 in the geographic township of Olden for a 5-hectare parcel as a new lot be approved subject to the conditions noted in the planning report. That the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of the decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of the decision to the applicant, any person or public body that has made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body as prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed, and that the certificate of the official issued within the period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was issued as required by the Planning Act. All those in favor? Motion is carried. The second application, which is moved by Nikki and seconded by Victor, that consent application B6821OL Porticos for the property located at Part Lot 2, Concession 10 in the geographic township of Olden for a 1.98 hectare parcel as a new lot, together with a right-of-way be deferred until a survey sketch is reviewed by the Conservation Authority. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay.
Madam
moving-
Chair, can I make one more comment at this point?
Of
And
course.
that is, we're talking about not having a January meeting because we won't have any applications, winter and all of that. But in the case of this applicant needing to get things done, and it's on the verge of being done, if there are 2 or 3 of those situations, would we reconsider having a January meeting?
I think in talking with Crystal and the planning staff, if we had those applications and they were in favor and thought we could have the comments required for the meeting, perhaps we could consider that.
Okay.
What are your thoughts, Jenny
Okay.
and Dimitri and Sonia? Crystal?
Through you, Madam Chair, I mean, that's fine. It's entirely up to the committee as to whether or not they would want to have a meeting. I think we would like to look at our schedules and see which date would work best. I would certainly suggest it not be right at the beginning of January, simply because staff is going to have to put together a final report for the committee, and it is unlikely that staff are going to be around over the holiday period in order to get that report to township staff. So we're happy to look at our calendars to make sure we don't have any other conflicts on certain days and provide township staff with some options as to what might work in January. But again, it's completely up to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
I guess it also understandably depends on if we were able to receive comments that we were waiting for as well, and for planning staff to be able to prepare everything necessary. But I guess we can look at that if we do have a couple of applications and see. Okay, thank you. So I'll just move on now, if it's okay, to the next application.
Madam Chair, I do have Mr. Kurtikas' hand up again, so I'm just going to move him back over for further comment, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Yes, the reason for the severance is for both of my sons. So they both get a piece of property and they own a business up here. They'll be taking over our electrical and solar business. So they would be living there and running the business from there as well. So that's why we're doing all this. I just thought I'd let you know that. So.
We like new businesses.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we've been here 16 years, but they're just carrying on the business. So I just thought I'd let you. That's why we want to get them both done. We're not selling them or anything. We're giving them to our sons. So.
Well, thank you very much.
That's I just wanted to make that comment. That's all.
Just read this and this is number 1.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so for our next application, I'm just going back to the 2 applications from Radachak. So we're going back to the consent application moved by Nikki and seconded by Bill, that consent application B6421HY Radachak for the property located at Part Lot 6, Concession 1 in the geographical township of Hinchinbrook to create a new 4.85 hectare parcel as a new lot, together with the right-of-way be approved, subject to the conditions noted in the Planning Act. And we have number 1, the first condition is the certificate of official for the application B6421HI and B6521HI shall include the creation of an easement for the ingress and egress right-of-way to benefit the severed parcels over the retained lands. The description for the easement and the consent schedule shall include a description of the parcels being severed, servient lands in a description of the dominant lands and the name of the transferor and the transferees. If the dominant tenements need to be created before the creation of the easement, the applicant's solicitor shall provide a draft transfer of easement containing the above noted information with the solicitor's undertaking register for this easement immediately upon the creation of the dominant land. And provide a copy of the receipt of the transfer of the easement to the secretary treasurer forthwith. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed and the certificate of the official issued within a period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was required as by the Planning Act. All those in favor? Victor, you're satisfied with the language there?
Didn't understand a word of it,
I-
but I understood the intent.
Okay.
If I
Thank
may,
you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to double check. I do believe we have the applicant or the agent on. I just wanted to double check to make sure they didn't have any questions with the wording of that condition. If you do, can you just a moment, I will move you over. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, no questions. That sounded like the correct intent as well.
I left the option to, because I'm not sure if it's easier to create the easement as part of the severed lots, or if it's easier to create the severed lots and then create the easement to attach to it. So we have both options available.
Yeah, chicken and egg. Yep, makes sense.
Okay, it's as clear as mud. Thanks very much, Cindy, for doing that. Okay, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Oh, okay, and I have the second application is moved by Brent and seconded by Fran, that consent application B6521 HI Radicek for the property located at Park Lot 6, Concession 1 in the geographic township of Hinchinbrook to create a 4.85 hectare parcel as a new lot together with a right-of-way be approved subject to the same conditions as the previous application. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, our next application is B6921 KE Deline, and it is for a lot addition. I will have Crystal introduce the application and one of our planning staff will speak to the application.
So it is for Deline for the lot addition in the former Kennebec Township. It's off the Henderson Road and Jenny's going to speak on it.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Crystal. As noted, this is an application for a lot addition for property located on Henderson Road. The lot addition parcel will be about 2.76 hectares or almost 7 acres in area. The lot addition parcel itself will have no road frontage and no water frontage. It is a back lot part of the subject property. The retained parcel will be about 61.9, so about 62 hectares, just over 150 acres in area. The retained parcel will have 69 meters or 226 feet of frontage along Henderson Road. That is the frontage it currently has, and that will remain unchanged as a result of this application. On this side, you can see the lot addition parcel here. It follows an existing driveway access, so the driveway access on the subject parcel will remain with the retained to facilitate access to the back 100 acres or so. The benefiting lot is here, and this will enlarge that lot. And as I said, it doesn't have road or water frontage, and was not circulated for comments with regards to septic suitability, as the lot it is being attached to currently has existing on-site services and development. The lot addition parcel itself is not developed with any septic system, and the parcel is not in vicinity of any other system. There is an existing storage building and accessory structures located on the lot addition parcel that actually are for the benefiting lot. So now they will all be located on the same parcel. They were owned by the same family, so there is some construction on different parcels that will be rectified as a result of this lot addition. This application was circulated to Quinte Conservation Authority, as there's areas of both water and wetlands on the subject property. They had indicated no objections to the application as proposed and noted that there's sufficient area for development outside hazard lands on both the lot addition parcel and the retained parcel. There were no comments received from the public with regards to this application. At this time, planning staff are recommending committee adjustment hears comments from the public and approves this application as submitted, subject to the conditions noted in the planning report.
Thank you, Jenny. Do we have the applicant or an agent acting on behalf of the applicant with any comments or questions regarding the application?
If there is, just a moment, we do have Mr. DeLine. I'm going to move you over. Okay. Go ahead.
I have no questions or comments at the time, and just thank you for your time. Have a great night.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeLine. Do we have any comments or questions from any member of the committee regarding the application? Okay, seeing none, do we have any members of the public joining us this evening with any questions or comments regarding the application?
And if there is anyone wishing to speak on this application, please use the raise hand feature or *9 on your phone. I see none, Madam Chair.
Okay, I have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Philip that consent application B6921OL DeLine for the property located at Part Lot 25, Concession 7 in the geographic township of Kennebec for a 2.76 hectare parcel as a lot addition be approved, subject to the following conditions noted in the planning report. That the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of the decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of the decision to the applicant, any person or public body that has made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body that is prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed, and that the certificate of the official issued within the period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was issued, as required by the Planning Act. All those in favor of the application? Motion is carried. Thank you. And moving on to our last application for consent this evening is B7121KE Sadia, and it's for the creation of a new lot. And I'll have Crystal introduce the application, and one of our planning staff will speak to it.
So again, it's in the former Kennebec Township. It's off the Bordenwood Road, and Jenny is going to speak on it.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Crystal. Yes, this application is for the creation of one new lot. Essentially, it is to take the subject property and divide it evenly into two parcels. So both the severed and retained parcels will have 55 meters of frontage along Bordenwood Road and be about 3 hectares or 7.5 acres in area. The property is zoned and designated rural with no recommendations for any rezoning of that. There are some wetland features along the road allowance at the rear of the property. We want to hear, as you can see, so the severed parcel and the retained parcel are essentially the same area. The road frontage already exists. This is just dividing an existing parcel that had a number of lots created along the frontage previously to the current official plan. And the wetland area I noted as at the back here, actually not on the subject property, but within proximity. As such, this was circulated to Quinte Conservation for comments. Their comments came in indicating no objections to the application as proposed. Conservation staff are satisfied that there's sufficient area for development outside of any hazard lands identified. This application was also circulated for review of septic suitability, and due to the lot size and frontage, both the severed and retained parcels were reviewed with regards to septic suitability, as there wouldn't be any further opportunity for subdivision under the current zoning provisions. Both parcels, based on comments received December 1st, are flexible with regards to setting a septic system, and Township of Frontenac indicated they had no objections to this application as submitted. There were no public comments received with regards to this application. Planning staff are recommending that the committee hears any comments from the public tonight, if there are any, and approve this application as submitted, subject to conditions noted in the planning report.
Thank you, Jenny. Do we have the applicant or an agent acting on behalf of the applicant joining us this evening with any questions or comments on the application?
The moment we do, I'm going to move over the applicant. Okay. And if you can unmute. Here we go. Go ahead.
Really appreciate, thanks for your time and approval for this project.
Well, thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments from any member of the committee regarding the application? Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, to Jenny or Dimitri or Sonia. When I looked at the map there, it showed that there were 6 other lots that have been constructed or severed from this same piece of property, unless this piece of property is a total envelope around it. With these 2, it's going to make a total of 8 lots in that same area. I know this is not going to affect this application, but at what point, Jenny or Sonia or Dimitri, do we look at the effects of actually creating a subdivision by consent?
That's an excellent question, Bill. Though the 6 lots previously were created, I just took a quick look at the dates. It appears to be when they were part of the previous township of Kennebec. Generally, this kind of strip development is something that today we would look more at a plan of subdivision, and we would examine that with regards to the appropriateness of whether this would make sense to do, like you said, as consents. The current official plan does limit the number of consents on any property since 2008 to a maximum of 2 for exactly that reason, that realistically, if you're looking at taking more than 1 or 2 lots off a property, especially in this orientation, like you noted along the frontage there, that's something that probably would have been better done as a plan of subdivision at the time. However, again, it was done previously, so at this point, this further division of the land was not deemed to be required to be part of a plan of subdivision in order to meet the intent of the county and township policies.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, to Jenny. By creating additional lots in the same area, if there's ever a situation, for example, that there becomes a water issue because we haven't done plan of subdivision, would there be any responsibility come back on the township?
I'm not entirely sure on the answer to that question as to who has responsibility or liability for water issues. My understanding, I believe, is that it is not going to be the township's responsibility or liability. However, that may be a question better suited for the township solicitor.
Thank you.
Any other members of the committee have any questions or comments regarding the application? Do we have any members of the public joining us this evening with any questions or comments regarding this application?
I would ask if there is anyone wishing to speak to use the raise hand feature at this time. I see none, Madam Chair.
Okay. I have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Brent that consent application B7121 KE Sadia for the property located at part lot 26, concession 4 in the geographic township of Olden for 5 hectares for a 5-hectare parcel as a new lot be approved subject to the conditions noted in the planning report. The Secretary Treasurer shall issue a notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any persons or public bodies that have made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. And that all conditions outlined in the notice of the decision shall be completed and the certificate of the official issued within a period of 1 year after the notice of the decision was issued as required by the Planning Act. Okay, and I apologize. I should have read it as Kennebec instead of Olden in the first paragraph. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, and moving on, we have one application for minor variance tonight, and that is application A 2121 Smith to reduce the front yard water body setback. And I will have Crystal speak to the application, and one of our planning staff will also.
So as Sherry said, it's for Smith and it's reduce the front yard water body setback. It is located on Kennebec Lake, the Heron Ridge Road in Kennebec. And it's deferred until septic approval can be obtained. And I think Dimitri's speaking on that one.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, thank you, Crystal. So minor variance application A 2121 seeks a variance to the required water body and front yard setback to accommodate an addition to an existing dwelling on a property located on the southern shore of Kennebec Lake. The property is located at municipal address 1502C Blue Heron Ridge. The application proposes an addition that will be approximately 42 square meters or 452 square feet in area to an existing 106 square meter or 1,140 square foot dwelling. The property is designated as rural waterfront area by the township official plan, and it's also zoned accordingly as waterfront residential under the township zoning bylaw. The variance is required because the existing water body setback is approximately 17 meters or 55.7 feet from the shoreline of Kennebec Lake, whereas 30 meters or 98 feet is required under the township zoning bylaw. So as Crystal had mentioned, planning staff are recommending this application to be deferred. And the reason for that is because during the septic review stage of this application, Township of South Frontenac staff determined that the septic system will need to be replaced to accommodate the proposed development and the existing dwelling. Currently, the septic system is located within the required 30-meter water body setback. And ideally, all new and replacement septic systems should attempt to meet the required water body setback that's set out by the zoning bylaw, especially when dealing with waterfront properties. Prior to a recommendation from planning staff on the appropriateness of the addition, the applicant needs to work with a licensed septic system designer to propose a new septic system. In our discussion with South Frontenac staff, it revealed that although the property is topographically constrained, there may be some opportunity to relocate the septic system or at least some components of the septic system, such as the septic bed, outside of the required 30-meter water body setback. Of course, if the new septic system cannot be installed outside of the water body setback, an additional minor variance will be required. If an additional minor variance is required, that could be incorporated into the existing application. So that being said, planning staff recommend that the Committee of Adjustment hear comments from the public and defer this application until a septic design is complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitri. Do we have the applicant or the applicant's agent with any questions or comments regarding the application this evening?
If the applicant wishes to speak, just a moment, I can move you over. We do have Doug Smith coming on. Okay.
Yes, hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say we are moving ahead, having the licensed septic person in there, having a look at it now. And yeah, we realize the land layout is not easy to work with. Definitely the bed, we can probably move. The tank, the holding tank may be more of an issue, but that's why we got a licensed guy coming up there to have a look at it. So you'll hear back from us again in the next while. So that was it. So very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments from any member of the committee regarding this application? Okay, do we have any members of the public joining us this evening with any questions or comments on this application?
If there is anyone wishing to speak, please use the raise hand feature. I see none, Madam Chair.
Okay, I will go ahead and read the motion. I have a motion moved by Fran and seconded by Nikki that in making the decision upon this application, the committee considered whether or not the variance requested was minor and desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, building or structure, and that the general intent and purpose of rezoning the bylaw and the official plan will be maintained, or in the case of change in the use of the property which is lawfully non-conforming under the bylaw, and as to whether or not this application has met the requirements of subsection 45(2) of the Planning Act, concur the following decision and the reason for the decision. for the minor variance application A2121 Smith for the property located at Part Lot 12, Concession 6 in the geographic township of Kennebunk at 150 or 1502 C Blue Heron Ridge Road, Kennebec Lake Road, to reduce the front yard water body setback from 30 meters to 17 meters in order to build a 42-meter squared bedroom on an existing dwelling, be deferred until the applicants have received an approved septic system. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And the applicant will receive a copy of all the conditions. Do we have any other business coming before the committee this evening?
Madam Chair, can I just ask a question about a proposed January meeting?
Yes, Philip, you can.
How much notice would we need to give for a Committee of Adjustment meeting?
That is a good question. I will look to staff for an answer for that.
Sonia has her hand up on that one.
Okay, thanks, Sonia.
Hi, thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So since this has tonight was technically the public meeting for this, we would only have to give notice to anybody who has requested further notice of this returning. And I'm not sure that there has been any comments on the Corticus file to date. I'd have to defer to Jenny and Crystal on that perhaps. But if there hasn't been, there may not be a need for much notice. I would note, based on a comment that you had made, Madam Chair, was that in order for us to be able to schedule this, that the applicant does have to provide the required survey sketch well enough in advance for us to review it. So again, we as staff, we can discuss this a bit tomorrow, but I would say that the first step is really for the applicant to check with their surveyor to see how soon and when the survey sketch can be done for the property. Because given how busy surveyors and everybody in the development industry is right now, plus the holiday season, if the surveyor can't get it done until end of January, then going to the February meeting may still be the most viable option.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Did you have any comments to follow up with that, Philip, or?
No, that's
Fran?
fine.
Okay, Fran, you had a question or comment?
No, I was just saying that's reasonable. If the applicant cannot provide the information in time for a January meeting, then it's a February meeting. I'm just saying, if all of the information is in, staff have an opportunity that we could pull together a quick meeting in January to get it done. And maybe there's a few other little items that we could clean up, but that may not be the case.
And yes, Madam Chair, sorry, Jenny also has her hand up.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to follow up on what Sonia said. As the survey sketch was something that was requested by the Conservation Authority, it would not only have to be submitted to the township, but also forwarded on for review by the Conservation Authority and have satisfactory comments come back from them. Given the timing of all of these things, I'm not sure if it is realistic to have one in January, but we'll see how the applicant proceeds with that sketch.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Anyone else have questions or comments about this? Okay, well, thank you everyone for a good meeting, and I have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Victor that this meeting be adjourned until 4 p.m. February 10th, 2022, unless something changes. Yes, Bill?
Yes, I just want to wish Jenny and Dimitri and Sonia a very merry and safe Christmas, because I wouldn't be seeing them before Christmas again, I would hope. Not that I don't like them, I just don't think that's in the meetings. And I want everyone to have a safe Christmas, and I'll see the rest of you probably next week. So.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Sonia and Dimitri and Jenny.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you and everyone else on the committee here tonight.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody. I think you may be seeing Dimitri and I briefly next Tuesday for a rezoning file, but yes, if we don't see you, all the best for the holidays and Merry Christmas.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everyone.